بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له
Class, brothers, no side talk.
وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه اللهم صل على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تمسك بسنته إلى الدين ثم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we continue where we left off, and that is at the first principle from the four principles. Again, just as a reminder, and for those who were not here in the first session, to have a pen and a paper and a notebook, or for those who find themselves not having such, then inshallah ta'ala you can use the memo section of the cell phone and to grab the notes inshallah ta'ala. There's a lot of ground we want to cover so that we understand inshallah ta'ala and have appropriate anticipation and expectations. What we want to highlight is the main point of each principle, and that which is al-maqsood, yani that which is sought after for each principle. So you want to look at and highlight what is the main point from each principle, inshallah ta'ala. And in addition to that, we want to take some benefit yani from the principle as much as we're able to, inshallah ta'ala. But again, I encourage everyone to go back when you have time and go over other explanations of this tremendous book, bismillahi ta'ala, to go over other explanations of this tremendous book. And like before, inshallah ta'ala, we want to highlight certain words, certain phrases, certain concepts, and focus in on them, inshallah ta'ala. And that is our takeaway from this particular session. Naam. The first principle, as the Imam he mentions, and we had went over a line of it before, right? But just as to recap, al-qa'ida al-ula, the first principle, أن تعلم أن الكفار الذين قاتلهم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مقرون بأن الله تعالى هو الخالق المدبر، وأن ذلك لم يدخلهم في الإسلام. والدليل قوله تعالى قل من يرزقكم من السماء والأرض أمن يملك السمع والأبصار ومن يخرج الحي من الميت ويخرج الميت من الحي ومن يدبر الأمر فسيقولون الله فقل أفلا تتقون. Allah Ta'ala, he says, or before coming to the ayah, the Shaykh he says, and know that those disbelievers, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he fought against them. They used to agree that Allah, the Most High, He was the Creator and He was the Sustainer. But even with that, that did not enter them into Islam. That did not make them Muslims. Na'am. And the proof and evidence of this, the proof of evidence of the concept that was aforementioned, right? So the proof and evidence that these kuffar, they used to agree that Allah was the creator and that Allah was the sustainer and so on and so forth, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He was the arranger of the affairs, is Allah Ta'ala's statement. It's the statement of Allah the Most High, as He says. What translated means, say, O Muhammad, meaning say to who? Say to the kuffar, say to the polytheists, say to those mushrikun, who provides for you from the sky and from the earth? Who is the one who owns the hearing and the sight? and who brings out the living from the dead and the dead from the living. And who is the disposer of affairs? They. Who is the they here? The kuffar, the mushrikun, the polytheists. They will say, Allah. So say to them, will you not then have fear of Allah's punishment for setting up rivals with Allah in worship? Na'am. Then will you not have fear of Allah Ta'ala's punishment for setting up rivals with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala as relates to worship? Al-maqsood min hadhihi al-qa'ida. That which is the takeaway, what I want everyone to get from this particular principle is two things. Two things, right? Keeping consistent with the two things, right? Two things. And the first of them is, as the Imam he mentioned, أن الكفار الذين قاتلهم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مقرون, that those kuffar who the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم he fought against them, they used to agree. They used to agree with what? They agreed that Allah was the creator, and they agreed that Allah was the sustainer. The mudabbir, that Allah was the arranger of the affairs. This is what the Shaykh he mentioned. But also we can add to that, they agreed that Allah was ar-raziq, that Allah was the provider and the sustainer, so on and so forth, that Allah is the one who caused life and the one who caused death. They agreed with something. Remember in the last class we went over the categories of Tawheed, and they were how many? Three. Right. And what are they? Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, al-Uluhiyyah, Asma wa Sifat. Right. They believe in the Tawheed is of three types. So from these three types of Tawheed, which Tawheed did the polytheists believe in?
Tawheed al-Asma wa Sifat and Tawheed al-Rububiyyah.
Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. Now, they believed in al-Rububiyyah. Just belief in al-Rububiyyah, is that enough to enter a person into Islam? No. At Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, is this the Tawheed that the prophets and messengers came to teach their people?
No.
Tawheed al-Rububiyyah.
Yes.
Some say yes, some say no.
Yes, because all three of them is the facets. One really, but they just divide them so we can understand how to worship Allah.
Okay. Uluhiyyah. Okay, so we got all of them, and then Uluhiyyah. Which one? Rububiyyah. Uluhiyyah. Which one?
Uluhiyyah, because this what the Mushrik did. What they did was they believed in Allah's lordship, but yet they, you know what I'm saying, when they went to give to their gods, you know what I'm saying, that was they made them an intercessor.
Right. So what's the Tawheed that the prophets and messengers, what was their focal point when they called their people? Was to which one? Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah. Now, Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah. So belief in Tawheed al-Rububiyyah by itself won't enter a person to Islam. And how do we? What's one of the implicit ways that we understand this fact being? Right? Implicitly, we understand this because what? The prophets and the messengers came to teach their people at Tawheed Uluhiyyah. Because their people already believed in what? Rububiyyah. Right? So the fact that they believed in Rububiyyah already, but yet prophets and messengers were sent to call them to Uluhiyyah, is a proof and evidence that just believing in Rububiyyah doesn't enter you into Islam. Why? Because if they were already Muslims and the prophets and messengers came to them to call them to Islam, that would have been what? Redundant, correct? And Allah Ta'ala is greater than that. So we understand from this point alone, implicitly what is implied by this is that what? That they were kuffar. And that's why messengers had to come to them. To call them to La ilaha illallah. Also, we understand that what? That just a belief in Tawheed al-Rububiyyah does not enter a person into La ilaha illallah. Because if they're already entered into La ilaha illallah, then they wouldn't have to be called to La ilaha illallah. Right?
The prophets came in form of worship.
So they came calling their people to Uluhiyyah. Why? Because they already believed in Rububiyyah. And if you study the Qur'an and contemplate over it, you will see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses rububiyyah as a proof and an evidence why they are to establish uluhiyyah. Right? Like, for example, Allah Ta'ala, what's the first command in the Qur'an? Who knows? Which verse? What surah? Let's start with the surah. What surah? Baqarah. That was easy, right? Like, which verse? Ya ayyuhan nas. يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Allah Ta'ala says, O mankind, calling all of mankind, men and jinn, worship your Lord who what? خلقكم, who created you. وَالَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ, and those who came before you, so that you can attain piety. So the fact that Allah Ta'ala reminds them, worship your Lord.
Do you know the number of that ayah?
Which one is 20 what? 21, huh? Surah Baqarah. Ayah. No, ayah.
The number.
21, 22, 23. Which one?
I think it's 21.
It's 21. I'm just making y'all work for it. Which one? Huh? 21. Ahsant. 21. This is the first command in the Qur'an. Right? The first command in the Qur'an. If you examine this, Allah Ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhan nas, i'budu rabbakum. O you who believe, worship your Lord. Your Lord points to what category of Tawheed? Rububiyyah. And Allah Ta'ala says, who created you? Khalaqakum. The creation and being a creator that's from what type of Tawheed?
Creator?
No. The fact that Allah Ta'ala creates and He's the creator. Rububiyyah, because that's part of right that Allah is the creator to sustain it. And who created those who came before you. Also what? Rububiyyah, pointing to a Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. But what is this Tawheed al-Rububiyyah being used to establish? I'budu rabbakum, worship your Lord. To establish worshiping Allah Ta'ala alone. And if you go to the next ayah also shows what? Also brings rububiyyah. Na'am. And then at the end of that ayah is the first prohibition in the Qur'an. The first prohibition. So the first command is in what verse? 21. Which surah? Baqarah. The first prohibition is in Surah Baqarah. What verse? 22. What's the prohibition? What part of the ayah? Na'am. فَلَا تَجْعَلُوا لِلَّهِ أَنْدَادًا وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. So do not set up rivals with Allah in worship, and you know. So the first prohibition in the Qur'an prohibits what? Shirk. The first command commands to Tawheed, and the first prohibition prohibits Shirk. So now when the ulama say Tawheed awwala, the Tawheed comes first. Does that sound so crazy now? Of course, it comes first in the Qur'an. When the Prophet ﷺ said Mu'adh ibn Jabal to Yemen, he told him to teach the people to call him an yuwahidullah, to single out Allah alone. What is that? Tawheed. Naam, Tawheed. So Tawheed comes what? Comes first. Tawheed comes first. Naam. Wait. Ala kulli hal. So we take away from this verse that the kuffar, they used to believe, and even now still, many of them believe in Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. But it's not enough to enter them into Islam. It's not enough. Because in order to be entered into Islam, a person has to accept what? La ilaha illallah. And the focal point, or what is stressed on that, like you mentioned before, as relates to what Tawheed is, what? Singling out Allah alone with worship. Because when a person worships Allah Ta'ala alone, then by default they are going to believe properly in Rububiyyah wal Asma wa Sifat. Right? But if a person believes in rububiyyah, this does not necessarily equate to them worshipping Allah alone. And that's because their belief is what? Is corrupted. It's not correct. It's compromised. Right? So it is incumbent for us to know and to understand that just believing in rububiyyah is not enough, because rububiyyah, ifradullah fi dhatihi wa af'alihi, is singling out Allah alone, yani in His actions and in Himself. Is to believe that Allah exists, is to believe that Allah is the only creator, the only sustainer, the only cause of life, cause of death, so on and so forth. That's rububiyyah. But if that does not translate into uluhiyyah, then it's not going to benefit a person. Now, this is important to understand, because now when the Unitarians or the Christians come up, Unitarians, quote unquote, right? Do they get any credit for being Unitarians? No, because they still what? Making shirk. So just because they don't believe Isa is Allah, nor Allah's son, alhamdulillah, that's good. But they're still not good enough. Why? Because they're still making shirk. They're still making shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? They still don't believe in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So without La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, there's nothing for them. There's nothing for them. Without La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, there's nothing for them. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has come. You have to believe in him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's no option. Naam. So they get no credit. So they, nothing. Naam. Right. Also, secondly, أن إقرارهم بالتوحيد الربوبية فقط لم يدخلهم في الإسلام, is that one, they believed in Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. That's one thing we have to understand from this principle. The second is that their belief in the Tawheed al-Rububiyyah is not enough to enter them into Islam. It's not enough to enter them into Islam. Na'am? That makes sense? طيب. Then the author goes on to the second principle. And that second principle, أنهم, and it's important to understand, because with these principles we start to understand the dynamic of shirk. Right? We start to understand the dynamic of shirk and the concept of shirk, and how no matter how you slice it or dice it, none of it is acceptable. None of it is acceptable. So when if a person were to understand these principles good, then they will know the fruitless nature, and they will know the pure counterintuitiveness of interfaith dialogue. It's of no point. It's a waste of time, and it's a disservice to human beings. It's a disservice to humanity. Because all of these people, right, this interfaith, all this type of stuff, from the Jews and the Christians and so on and so forth, them in particular, doesn't benefit them, because they need to be Muslim. Because they're still falling into one of these four things. So they still need to be Muslim. So by us coming together and talking about what we agree about is fruitless. For what? For what? That still is not going to save them from the threat of going to the hellfire forever. That's still not going to give them glad tidings of eligibility to enter into Jannah, because they're still making shirk. No, it does definitely disagree with Aqidah. But this is why, when Ahlul Sunnah say things like, no, we're not a part of interfaith. There's no benefit in that. And so a lot of times people don't understand where that comes from. Does that come from a person just being malicious, being mean-spirited, and so on and so forth? No, it comes from properly understanding Aqidah. That even if we speak about, you believe in Ibrahim, we believe in Ibrahim. So what? If you don't follow him, it don't benefit you. Like how Allah Ta'ala told the mushrikun what to be upon the way of Ibrahim. He was not a polytheist. He was upon Islam, upon Tawheed. He was not polytheist. So just because you believe in Ibrahim, okay, so what? Because in reality you don't believe in him, because you're not upon his way. The Christians come and they say, we believe in Isa. No, in reality you don't believe in Isa, because Isa told you Muhammad was coming, Muhammad came. You just believe in Muhammad, you just believe in Isa. So in reality you don't believe in Isa. So your claim, and me acknowledging that you make a claim, is not benefiting you, and I know your claim is futile. It's rejected. If you really want to believe in Isa, then you have to follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then you could truly believe in Isa, then you could be upon what Isa was upon. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not that we're being malicious, it's that we're being gentle, we're being beloved, we're being kind, because we understand it's a waste of time. We want you to benefit as human beings, so we got to call you to what's going to benefit you. We don't make you think that you're doing wrong, but it's right. That's wrong. You'll say a person is a wrong person. If a person was doing something wrong, it's going to hurt them, kill them, right? And then you didn't say anything about it, people would censor you. They'll say, how are you letting him do that? You know it's going to hurt him. How are you letting him eat that? You saw glass fell into it. How are you letting him eat that? You saw, rats playing in it. You're not going to say nothing? You convince them, no, just put some ketchup on it, man, some hot sauce. It'll be good. They're going to say you're a bad person, correct? But so how much more so, and that's just maybe, you may get, food poisoning or something, right? Okay? But now, you're flattering a person into thinking what he's doing is okay, and he's doing something that's going to land him in hell forever. Who's worse? The person that didn't say anything about the rats playing in the rice, or the person that let the person do shirk and made him think it was okay? Of course, the shirk. So this is why we don't waste our time with that, because if we're gonna dialogue with the kuffar, then we're gonna call them to Islam. There's not gonna be no everybody's okay kumbaya stuff. No, we're gonna call them to Islam, right? Now, so the next principle is that these kuffar, and it's important to understand as well, because the Shaykh he mentions, he says, أنهم يقولون, that they used to say, ما دعوناهم وتوجهنا إليهم إلا لطلب القربة والشفاعة, that we did not call upon them, right, except, or nor turn to them, except to seek from them qurba, to become near, was shafa'ah, and for intercession, right? So now listen to this concept. So now you have the kuffar, and they said, we didn't, used to worship these things. Like they'll try to come and say, no, we're not worshiping these things per se, but we're doing these acts of devotion so that we can draw near unto Allah by way of them, and so that these individuals can intercede on our behalf. So that's okay, right? No, it's not okay, right? But dalil, what's the proof? What's the proof that they should try to use them to draw near? قوله تعالى, is Allah Ta'ala's statement, وَالَّذِينَ اتَّخِذُوا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَوْلِيَاءَ مَا نَعْبُدُهُمْ إِلَّا لِيُقَرِّبُونَ إِلَى اللَّهِ زُلْفَىٰ, and that those who used to worship other than Allah, they said we did not worship them except so that they may draw us near unto Allah. Allah Ta'ala, He goes on to say, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَحْكُمُ بَيْنَهُمْ فِي مَا هُمْ فِيهِ يَخْتَلِفُونَ, and that verily Allah, He will judge between them about that in which they used to differ in. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَهْدِي مَنْ هُوَ كَاذِبٌ كَفَّارٌ. Listen to the point of the ayah, so that we know that this claim is rejected. Allah Ta'ala refutes them. They're saying, no, we're not worshiping these things per se, but we're just trying to use these things to get near. I'll give you an example. The Catholics, they pray to their saints. Patron saint of this, patron saint of that, patron saint of that. They pray to them. So now if you come and you say, you think that thing is a God? Why are you praying to that thing? No. We're not praying to that thing. But that whoever, saint so-and-so, saint such and such, they're going to take our request to the Creator. That's okay, right? No. Right? Allah Ta'ala destroys this concept. Allah Ta'ala, He says about these individuals what? Inna Allah la yahdi. Allah does not guide man huwa kadhib, the one who is a liar, kaffar, the one who makes a lot of kufr. So Allah Ta'ala says about these individuals that they are what? Kuffar. That's not acceptable. Right? Now, when it comes to the likes of the Catholics, we say, oh, that makes complete sense. They're Catholics. Right? You even have others, other denominations and so on and so forth, who do similar things. Right? They pray to Mary and so on and so forth. Right? They pray to some of their angels, Mikael and so on and so forth. Right? They say, that's okay? No, it's not okay. We're not praying to them. We know that they're not the creator, but we just, they're going to take our request to the creator. No, it's not okay. This is kufr. It makes sense when we talk about the Christians, right? Let me ask you a question. Things that are the same, things that are alike, the ruling is the same, correct? Things that are alike, the ruling is the same. Same process, same what? Outcome. Same verdict, same result. Same process, same result. Correct? If I hit your hand with a hammer, what happened? It's going to swell up. It's going to swell up, it's going to hurt. Okay, I say, don't worry about it. That was your left hand. That was your left hand.
You're right.
Let me hit your right hand. Same thing. It's what's going to happen. It's going to hurt, it's going to swell up. Same difference, correct? Nothing changes because we're going to change the hand. Okay, now check this out. So you understand why this is so important. Because a person may come for argument's sake and say, why are you wasting your time talking to Muslims about these things when these are things that the polytheists used to fall into? Like, Muslims be Muslim. We ain't got them problems, right? The Sufis who pray to the saints in the grave. Is that different?
No, same thing.
It's the same concept, same thing, correct? Right? Same thing. So it's important that these things are stressed, that the Muslims are taught. Because ignorance has grown to such an extent that they're doing these things and they think it is okay. They think it doesn't go against La ilaha illallah. This is why the Shaykh is stressing this, because even in his time, you had Sufis doing these things and they didn't believe that it went against La ilaha illallah. So part of the benefit from this is showing them that this is the way of the polytheists. Look at the way of the polytheists. Now reflect on what you're doing. It's the same thing. Same claim. Claim for claim. Same thing. We're not worshiping them. We're using them to get close to Allah and intercede for us. You're saying the same thing that they said. If they said it was wrong, how come you say it is right? No, it's still wrong. And this is why we have to stress these things. Because you have shayateen from human beings. You have shayateen from the likes of these Sufis and so on and so forth. And they strive to go out and to teach people their doubts. And they strive to refute the books of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. Right? So, and strive to bring doubts to it. So as to say, no, you can pray to Saint so-and-so and it's okay. It's not what they're saying. It's alright because it's different. No, it's not different. It's the same thing. But it's important that we stress this. Why? Because the person that falls into this could potentially do what? Into shirk, but what? Take you out of Islam. These Muslims who fall into it, they're Muslim. Why? Because they're ignorant. Because they've been mistaught, because they've been lied to, because evil scholars have come to them and say, this doesn't go against La ilaha illallah. So you're okay still. It doesn't go against La ilaha illallah. And they don't know. So are we going to leave our brothers and our sisters upon this danger? No, we have to teach them. But in order to teach them, we have to learn. In fact, the one who's deprived of something can't give it. Right? If I don't have it, I can't give it to you. You come and say, let me get $1 million. I don't have $1 million. I can't give $1 million. Right? So it's incumbent that we learn this so that we can one protect ourselves from falling into it. Two, so we can help and share with our families so that they don't fall into it and they are safeguarded from it, and so that we can share with our Muslim brothers and sisters these dangers. These dangers. The delete for shafa'ah, the delete for intercession, قوله تعالى, is Allah Ta'ala's statement. وَيَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَضُرُّهُمْ وَلَا يَنْفَعُهُم وَيَقُولُونَ هَؤُلَاءِ شُفَعَاؤُنَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ, is that they used to worship along with Allah those who didn't hurt them nor benefit them, and they will say these things are our intercessors with Allah. So they took these things and said we're only worshipping them to get near to Allah. But our intention, our overall intention is Allah. So that's okay, right? No, not at all. Because they're worshipping other than Allah. So the Imam Muhammad Abdul Wahhab mentions, he says, well, shafa'atan. And shafa'ah is of two types. Shafa'ah manfiyya wa shafa'ah muthbata. You have the shafa'ah that is prohibited. Right? The shafa'ah that's no good. It's prohibited. Then you've got the shafa'ah that is accepted, that is affirmed. That is accepted and that is affirmed. This here is important to understand because by way of this you're able to destroy the doubt of the polytheists. When they come in and say, no, it's just for shafa'ah, then you can break it down and say, okay, look, even for argument's sake, what you're doing is futile. Right? You're not going to get the shafa'ah that you're looking for. Why? Because you're making shirk. And shafa'ah is not earned by shirk, nor is it granted to the mushrikun, to the polytheists. The shafa'ah is only for the people of tawheed. So there's no way, which way, shape and form that shafa'ah can be attained by means of shirk. And this is the takeaway of this particular portion. By explaining, you got the shafa'ah, there's two types. The shafa'ah, the intercession that is prohibited, and then the intercession that is accepted. Right? The shafa'ah that is manfiyah, the shafa'ah that is prohibited, what is this? This is the shafa'ah makanat tutlabu min ghayrillah, that which is sought from other than Allah. فيما لا يقدر عليه إلا الله, and that which only Allah has the ability to do. And this is an important point. So intercession in those things in which only Allah has the ability to do, you can only seek them from who? From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So them seeking intercession from their idols and from their saints and so on and so forth will not benefit them. So now you're able to explain to them in a detailed manner, breaking down the concept. That one, the concept is erroneous. But two, let's just say, it still don't work. Why? Because shafa'ah is not attained by way of shirk. It's only attained by way of tawheed. Shafa'ah is not granted to the polytheists. It's only granted to the believers, the monotheists. Naam, the muwahidun. The shafa'ah that is... and what's the dalil? What's the dalil of the shafa'ah that is rejected? Right? It's Allah Ta'ala's statement, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَنفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ يَوْمٌ لَا بَيْعٌ فِيهِ وَلَا خُلَّةٌ وَلَا شَفَاعَةٌ وَالْكَافِرُونَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. Naam. Allah Ta'ala, He says, what translated means... Yunus? That's Surah Baqarah. Surah Baqarah 254. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, O you who believe, spend from, what translated means, O you who believe, spend from that which we had provided for you before a day comes when there will be no bargaining, nor friendship, nor intercession, and the disbelievers, it is the disbelievers who are the wrongdoers. Now, so Allah Ta'ala negates intercession here. وَلَا شَفَاعَةً, no intercession. Now, does that mean in Yawm al-Qiyamah there's no intercession? No. Allah explains in the end of the ayah, Allah Ta'ala says, وَالْكَافِرُونَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ, and the disbelievers, they are the wrongdoers. So Allah Ta'ala makes it clear the context of what is being spoken about is that on the Day of Judgment there's no shafa'ah for who? For the disbelievers, for the kuffar. So when it says wala shafa'a, there's no shafa'a for who? For the kuffar. Naam, for who? For the kuffar. Naam. And what's the proof that we know? We look at the whole context, and this is why Juyaanee, the ulama, they mentioned you can't take just one verse or one hadith and think you understand the whole thing. You got to take all the ayat and all the hadith on a particular issue, then you can understand, but you have a rounded understanding. Because if a person reads this, he says, oh, okay, there's no intercession. So he may think no intercession Yawm al-Qiyamah. But then the next verse comes and shows you that it is intercession. Because this is verse 254 of Surah Al-Baqarah. What's the next verse? Ayat al-Kursi, 255. And in Ayat al-Kursi, Allah Ta'ala says, مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَشْفَعُ عِنْدَهُ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ, and who is the one who can intercede with him except with his permission or after his permission. So this establishes, no, there is shafa'ah, but it has to be by what? The permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in addition to other things, right? And when it says there's no shafa'ah, Meaning no shafa'ah for who? For the kuffar. No shafa'ah for the people who make shirk. No shafa'ah for the people who make shirk. Shafa'ah is only for the people who are upon tawheed. So now we get to the second type of shafa'ah. So okay, we know that there's a shafa'ah that is prohibited, that's not going to happen, right? But then there's a shafa'ah that is muthbata. There's a shafa'ah that is affirmed. And this shafa'ah is affirmed. And what's the shafa'ah that's affirmed? Hiya allati tutlabu min Allah. That which is sought after from Allah. That's one.
That's what we ask for the done, right? That's what we ask for the done.
No, to that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam the maqam al-mahmud, yani the station of intercession, meaning that station that no one from creation will be honored with except for one, and that will which we asked that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam be that one, because he's going to be that one, alayhi salatu wassalam. Now, like the Shaykh, he mentions, he says, وَالشَّافِعِ مُكْرَمٌ بِالشَّفَاعَةِ, and the one who intercedes is honored by being able to intercede. That's one. Or actually two, right? Because it has to be sought from Allah. The one who intercedes is honored by it. وَالْمَشْفُوعُ لَهُ مَنْ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ قَوْلَهُ وَعَمَلَهُ. And the one who is granted the intercession, Allah is pleased with his statements and with his actions. بَعْدَ الْإِذْنِ, after they are granted permission. كما قال تعالى, as Allah Ta'ala says, مَنْ الَّذِي يَشْفَعُ عِنْدَهُ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ. And who is he who can intercede with him except by his permission? So from this we understand three things we take away from. That for shafa'ah, there are three conditions. Three conditions for shafa'ah. The first condition for shafa'ah is that what? Is that it has to be by the permission of Allah. What's the proof of that? What's the proof? Baqarah 255. Naam, which part? It's a big verse. Naam, مَدَى الَّذِي يَشْفَعُ عِنْدَهُ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ. Naam. And who is he? Somebody else translate it for me. What's the translation of that part?
Who is he that can intercede with him except with his permission?
Naam, ascent. Naam, and who is he that can intercede with him except with his permission? Because it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. Right? Allahu Akbar. Who's going to intercede in front of Allah except with Allah's permission? It's Allah. Do these people really think that their awliya have it like that? I mean, I don't know how else to put it. It's Allah. Who's going to intercede except with Allah's permission? So it has to be by permission. Has to be. And that Allah Ta'ala has to be what? The second condition. وَرِضَاهُ عَنِ الشَّافِعِ. That the one who makes an intercession, Allah is pleased with that person. Why? Because Allah Ta'ala is not going to grant shafa'ah except to one who He's pleased with. He's only going to grant shafa'ah to one who He is pleased with that individual. Now, and Allah is only pleased with the people of Tawheed. So shafa'ah can only be gained by Tawheed. Now, the third condition, وَرِضَاهُ عَنِ الْمَشْفُوعِ لَهُ, and he is pleased with the one who receives the intercession. And he is pleased with the one who receives intercession. Right? Wait. From the proofs that show that even if Allah is pleased with the individual, the one who receives the intercession won't get it unless Allah is pleased with that person too. Well, that individual too. Right? And this is after what? Allah's permission. So after Allah's permission. This can be found in Allah Ta'ala's statement, وَكَمْ مِن مَلَكٍ في السماوات لا تغني شفاعتهم شيئا. And how many from the angels? Angels, right? And we know angels are, mashallah, the righteous slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Na'am, Allah is pleased with them. But even with that, Allah Ta'ala says, لا تغني شفاعتهم شيئا. But their intercession won't benefit, period. Won't benefit nothing at all. Which shows that people that praying to an angel is not an option. It's still not going to help you. Na'am. You're still not going to get intercession. Except إِلَّا مِن بَعْدِ أَن يَأْذَنَ اللَّهِ. Except after Allah has permitted it. Permitted it for who? لِمَن يَشَاءُ وَيَرْضَى. For those who He pleases and for those who He is pleased with. Na'am. So if you're looking for shafa'ah, then you have to look for it from who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because it's all in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And looking for it from other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're not going to find it. You're not going to get it. And this ayah can be found in Surah Najm in its verse 26. Surah Najm in its verse 26. But here, when you reflect over these proofs and evidences, you see where Imam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab got what he was saying from. He didn't just pull it out the air. It wasn't just from himself. But it was from what the proofs and the evidences. Which shows us what? That Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, rahmatullah alayhi, he did not come with anything new. He didn't come with anything new. He didn't come with anything that was particular to him. But he just came calling to the same thing that the Prophet ﷺ called to. Na'am. And this is the reality. Those people who try to avert you and to make it seem like, no, it's just him. You know what that is? Do you know that saying? That saying, if you want to kill the message, do what? Kill the messenger. If you want to kill a message, kill the messenger. What does that mean? That means you do what? You discredit the messenger. Right? Okay. If anyone comes and try to discredit Muhammad ﷺ from the gate, that person, no consideration. From the gate. So when they try to come and discredit the Prophet ﷺ, khalas, you're done. You know what you have to say. It's over before it started. So they realized, the shayateen realized, we can't discredit the Prophet ﷺ because we're going to lose that one. So now what do? We divert your attention by making you think that what Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab said was something different. So now, Wahhabi. Right? Now, okay, that's a Wahhabi. So now we shift your attention. That's what con men do, isn't it? Isn't it not? Distract and what's the other one? What do you call it? Divert. That's what con men do. He's showing you this hand while he's robbing you with that hand. You see how these charlatans, these shayateen, you see how they are? You see how they are? Same tricks. Divert you from this and get you with that. So they divert it. Make it seem like it's Muhammad Abdul Wahhab. Why? Because they want to attack what the Prophet ﷺ came with. These are ayat from the Qur'an. These are ayat from the Qur'an. Who's arguing? And when you look now, right, if you look at some of the wisdom of the Shaykh Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, is that he's hitting them with what? The Qur'an. He's hitting them with the Qur'an. This is the ayat. Who gonna argue with the ayat now? You see? But it's important that we understand these things so that we can dismantle the doubts when they come. So when the doubts come, we dismantle them. And Juyaanee, this is why the scholars are able to refute the lies of the people with a smile on their face. It's easy. It's easy. Naam. So the takeaway from this ayah, what we want to look at, the takeaway is that al-maqsood from this principle is that which caused the polytheist to call upon other than Allah was two things. And that was one, they were seeking from those things to draw near to Allah. And they were seeking from those things intercession from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Naam. But none of that will benefit them. Another point that we have to know as relates to shirk is that what? Is that shirk is shirk is shirk is shirk. It's all shirk. Now you can say, oh, that's shirk better than that shirk. Right? That don't make sense. That shirk better than that shirk. Doesn't make sense. Right? Right. What's the proof of this? Or in this concept that it doesn't matter, it's still shirk. Is the third principle. The Shaykh he points out. أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ظهر على أناس متفرقين في عباداتهم. That he came upon people who they used to worship various things. منهم من يعبد الملائكة. From them was those who worship the angels. ومنهم من يعبد الأنبياء والصالحين. And from them were those who worship the prophets and the righteous ones. ومنهم من يعبد الأشجار والأحجار. And from them were those who used to worship trees and rocks. ومنهم من يعبد الشمس والقمر. And from them were those who worship the sun and the moon. وقاتلهم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ولم يفرق بينهم. And the Prophet ﷺ, he fought them all, and he did not differentiate between them. He made no differentiation between them. Na'am. And this here is the main takeaway from this particular principle. Is that ibadatu ghayrillah, that the worship of other than Allah, دون النظر إلى منزلة المعبود, is that we don't look at the status of what is being worshipped. Now, we don't look at the status of what is being worshipped. فَمَنْ يَعْبُدُ النَّبِيِّ وَالْوَلِيِّ وَالْمَلَكِ هُوَ كَمَنْ يَعْبُدُ الشَّجَرَ وَالْحَجَرَ to the end. Is that whoever worships a prophet or a righteous person or an angel, he is the exact same in our eyes as the one who worships a tree or a rock or other than that. Same thing. Same thing. No differentiation. Because shirk is shirk is shirk is shirk. And then the Imam, he brings proofs and evidences. And this is what I love about it. Is that what? A person may hear this and say, ma'loom, this is well known. But he still brings proofs and evidences so as to reinforce and show the Muslims that our deen is based upon proofs and evidences. You can't speak about Islam except that you got to bring Qala Allah, Qala Rasulullah, Qala Sahaba. That's it. You can't just be coming from yourself and beautiful articulation, think that's enough to get it over because it's pretty. No, you had to bring some text. Allah said, and then that's the proper meaning of what Allah said and the proper uses of that particular ayah. The Prophet ﷺ said, that's the proper meaning of what the Prophet ﷺ said, and that's the right use of that particular hadith. This is the way of the Sahaba. This is what they were upon. Na'am. Has to be like that. So he brings proofs. He says, وَدَلِيلْ قَوْلُ and as relates. Before that, just a general principle. And the proof of this, that the Prophet ﷺ, he was called to fight against every polytheist, regardless of what they worship, is Allah Ta'ala's statement, وَقَاتِلُوهُمْ حَتَّى لَا تَكُونَ فِتْنَةٌ وَيَكُونَ الدِّينُ كُلُّهُ لِلَّهِ. And fight against them until there is no fitnah. Fight against all of them until there's no fitna. Fitna here means shirk. Fitna in this ayah, it means shirk. Until the religion, all of it is for Allah. A person to come and say, well, how you know fitna means shirk right there? Look at the context of the ayah. Na'am. وَيَكُونَ الدِّينُ كُلُّهُ لِلَّهِ. And so all of the deen is for Allah. So you're fighting against what? That which renders some of the deen to other than Allah, which is what? Shirk. So fitna. حَتَّى لَا تَكُونَ fitna. Until there's no fitna. Naam. And the proof that they used to worship the sun and the moon, وَدَلِيلُ الشَّمْسِ وَالْقَمَرِ قَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى, is Allah Ta'ala's statement, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ وَالشَّمْسِ وَالْقَمَرِ. And from his ayat, from his signs, is the night, the day, the sun and the moon. لا تسجدوا للشمس ولا للقمر واسجدوا لله الذي خلقهن إن كنتم إياه تعبدون. Do not worship the sun and the moon. Do not prostrate to the sun and the moon, but prostrate to Allah who created them both, if you are in fact unto Him worshippers. Now, the fact that Allah Ta'ala, He says, لا تسجدوا للشمس والقمر, don't prostrate to the sun and the moon, is an indication that what? People's prostrated to the sun and the moon. They worship in the sun and the moon. نعم. طيب والدليل الملائكة, and the proof for the angels, قوله تعالى, is Allah Ta'ala's statement, وَلَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تَتَّخِذُوا الْمَلَائِكَةَ وَالنَّبِيِّينَ أَرْبَابًا, and you are not commanded to take the angels and the prophets as lords, as rivals with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here is a dalil that what people used to take the angels and the prophets as rivals with Allah. They used to worship them, and we were not commanded to do that. So there is a proof and evidence for what? That people used to worship the angels and the prophets. Naam. But that particular ayah, Shaykh, he wanted to, the takeaway from that was the angels. Right? From the things was point to the fact that these things are so well known in Islam, there's so many proofs and evidences was point to each of these concepts. So the Shaykh, he don't bring the same ayah for the proof that they used to worship the prophets, although that is a proof that they used to worship the prophets, but he brings another to show that this is well known. Right? So he says, وَالدَّلِيلِ أَنْبِيَاء قَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى, and the proof that they used to worship the prophets is Allah Ta'ala's statement, وَإِذْ قَالَ اللَّهُ يَا عِيسَى ابْنَ مَرْيَمَ أَأَنْتَ قُلْتَ لِلنَّاسِ اتَّخِذُونِي وَأُمِّي إِلَهَيْنِ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Allah Ta'ala is going to say to Isa, and when Allah said to Isa, O Isa, the son of Maryam, did you tell the people to take me and my mother, meaning Isa, did you tell the people, did Isa say to, did you say to the people, take me and my mother as two gods other than Allah? Worship Isa and worship Maryam? Now, قال Isa, Allah Ta'ala informs us that Isa, he said, will say, قال سبحانك ما يكون لي أن أقول ما ليس لي بحق. He said, all praise belong to you. How glorified are you and far removed from imperfections. It is not for me to say what I don't have the right to say. I can't say that. I don't have the right to say that. Now, and then listen to this response, which shows, this is, subhanAllah, such a major proof and evidence to show that Isa is not Allah. Period. And it's not Allah's son at all. He says, إن كنت قلت فقد علمته. If I said it, you would have already known. تعلم ما في نفسي ولا أعلم ما في نفسك. You know what's in my soul, you know what's in me, I don't know what's in you. This is Isa saying, what? I don't have no knowledge about Allah. Allah knows everything about me. I don't know about Allah. Except what? Except what Allah tells me. Except what Allah informs me. Which shows what? That Isa alayhi salatu wasalam was a slave. He was an abd. He was a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Impoverished. No power, no might, no nothing. He only knows what Allah informs him of and allow him to know. That's it. Allahu Akbar. Naam. Like, إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ عَلَّامُ الْغُيُوبِ, because verily you are the knower of the unseen. Now this is Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. So when you're addressing people who are people of polytheism, who have taken their awliya, their righteous people, then we saying to them, if this is the statement of Isa showing his poverty unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how he is impoverished, he is in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how in the world do you claim for your awliya other than that, and they are not better than Isa? This is Isa ibn Maryam. This is Isa, the son of Maryam, the one who was born and had a miraculous birth. Shaykh. This is Isa, the one who was from the best prophets and the messengers, from the best prophets and the messengers ever, from the best human beings ever. If this is his station of being impoverished into Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how is this person dead in the grave right here going to be able to do what he can't do? Doesn't make sense. Naam, doesn't make sense. But this is the proof that they used to worship what? The prophets and the messengers, as is well known. What dalil is salihin, and the proof of the righteous ones, قوله تعالى, is Allah Ta'ala's statement, أولئك الذين يدعون, these are the ones that they call upon, يبتغون إلى ربهم الوسيلة أيهم أقرب ويرجون رحمته ويخافون عذابه. That these ones that you're calling upon, and again, this here is another tremendous verse, because it's showing the deficiency, the poverty, the lack of ability, and so on and so forth, of these things that these people are calling upon. And that these ones those whom they are calling upon, for example, like Isa, like Uzair, like the angels, so on and so forth, these things that you're calling upon for help, these things that you're worshiping, they themselves desire for themselves a means to their Lord. You calling upon them, thinking they can help you, and they worried about themselves. They ain't worried about you. Because you're not upon what you're upon. They fought against that, called against that. They called it something other than that. They're worrying about Allah themselves. They're worrying about benefiting themselves. As to which of them will be nearest. And they hope for Allah's mercy, and they fear His punishment. So these righteous ones that they're calling upon, they themselves are scared. They themselves want Allah's mercy. They themselves are scared of Allah Ta'ala's punishment. Ala kulli hal, this is a proof that what they're calling upon, that righteous people are being called upon. None of that is okay. None of that is okay. Na'am, wa dalil al-ashjar, and I want you to understand this, really. Let me put it another way. When I say shirk is shirk is shirk, shirk is shirk is shirk. So the person who worships an angel, for us, is no different than a person who worships a cow. Same thing. If a person come and say, I'm going to worship a rat or a pig, same thing, it's the same, because it's all shirk. We don't change our outlook by looking at who is being taken as an object of worship, who is being taken as a false deity. No. Because the crime is that something has been taken as a false deity. So we don't care what was used as a crime against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The issue is there's a crime. Shirk is the greatest oppression, is the greatest crime. And that's the point. Not what you have used to make shirk, it's the greatest crime. Now listen, a less example. What will be your main concern? The fact that you got hit over the head with a 2x4, or you got hit over your head with a bat? What's the point? Don't make a difference. The point is you hit me in the head. Right? If somebody came and hit you in the head, what are you going to say? Or at least it was a 2x4. Right? No, you know, sitting there, your head bleeding, broke, whatever, concussion, you're going to say at least a 2x4, it's okay. No, because he hit me in the head, that's the point. I don't care if it was a bat, I don't care if it was a hammer, you hit me in the head. So what you hit me with, it doesn't matter. Because the issue is, you hit me in the head. You understand? So this is the point, where it doesn't matter what they worship. Because it's other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it's all bad. It's all the same. It's all the same. وَالدَّلِيلُ الْأَشْجَارِ وَالْأَحْجَارِ, and the proof of the statues of trees and of rocks and rocks. قوله تعالى is Allah Ta'ala's statement, and this is Allah. Listen, now we talking about rocks, boulders, stones, right, and trees. Check the proof. أفرأيتم اللات والعزى ومناة الثالثة الأخرى. Have you not seen Lat and Uzza? Have you not seen Lat and Uzza? Manat, the other of the pagan idols, the other third? Have you not seen them? Now a person may step back and say, how is that a proof for trees and stones? I don't understand. So now you have to understand what? Who is Al-Lat? Who is Uzza? Who is Manat? Right? But Al-Lat هو صنم في الطائف. اللات نعم اللات, he was the idol of the people of Ta'if. He was the idol of the people of Ta'if. نعم اللات. يعني, and this is with تخفيف, أي اللات, اللاتة, اللات. نعم. This idol of the people of Ta'if, it was a sakhra, it was a stone, it was a boulder. So this allat بالتخفيف التاء, يعني just يعني no shadda on the ta, this points to a stone, points to a stone. There was also another thing that they should take for worship, and it was allatta, allatta بالتجديد, بالتجديد. This one was a man. It was a man, right? And he was called that because he used to make this. He used to make this food. Now, he used to make this food, and he got his name because it stemmed from the verb Latta yaluttu. Latta yaluttu. So they call him Allatta. بالتجديد Allatta. Latta. Naam. But this was a man. He used to make some food. But the point of takeaway here is that it's talking about Allat with no shadda. Because this is what? This pointed to a boulder. This was a stone. And remember, we're talking about the proof about people who worship stones and trees. Now, that makes sense? طيب, Uzza was shajarat. Naam, they were trees. Uzza, they were trees. Naam. والمنات, and manat here sakhra, and manat is a stone, is a stone. So here we have the proof for stones. We got two proofs for stones, one proof for trees. Which one was the tree? Uzza. Naam. So, and Allahu a'lam, why? But yani ka'an the Shaykh, it's as if the Shaykh felt, let me balance it out. I brought two for stones, one for a tree. Let me bring another for a tree. Right? كأن الشيخ, perhaps. Because after mentioning that, the Shaykh, he mentioned the hadith of Abi Waqid al-Laythi رضي الله تعالى عنه. قال, and I'm going to let you tell me what this one is. He says, خرجنا مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. He said, we went out with the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم إلى حنين, to Hunayn. ونحن حدثاء عهد بكفر. And we were newly left kufr, meaning we were new Muslims. We were new to Islam, new to the deen. Which points to what? That they didn't, there were some things they still needed to learn. Right? He says, وَلِلْمُشْرِكِينَ, and the polytheists, they had what? Sidra. يَعْكُفُونَ عِنْدَهَا. They had a tree that they used to spend a lot of time with. نعم. وَيَنُطُونَ بِهَا أَسْلِحَتَهُمْ, and they used to hang their weaponry, their swords and stuff from it. They used to hang their weapons from it. يُقَالُ لَهَا ذَاتُ أَنْوَاقٍ, and it was called ذَاتُ أَنْوَاقٍ. That's what the name of the tree was. They call it ذَاتُ أَنْوَاقٍ because it was that which stuff would get hung on it. That's what that name generally means for a rough translation. The thing that stuff get hung on it. Right? He says, فَمَرَرْنَا بِصَدْرَةٍ, so we passed another tree. فَقُلْنَا يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ اجْعَلْ لَنَا ذَاتَ أَنْوَاقٍ كَمَا لَهُمْ ذَاتُ الْأَنْوَاقِ. So we said, O Messenger of Allah, make for us a ذَاتُ أَنْوَاقٍ. Like they got a ذَاتُ أَنْوَاقٍ. They got a tree they hang stuff on. Make for us a tree we hang stuff on. Right? Why they used to hang their stuff on this tree and spend a lot of time with it? Because they thought the tree would give them blessings. Did it give them barakah? You understand? So they would hang their weapons from it, thinking it's going to make their weapons more efficient. Hang my weapon from there, it's going to make it more efficient in battle now, because the tree going to put barakah in it. If I hang around it, the tree going to give me barakah. They used to what? Worship the tree. They used to worship the tree. It was shirk. You understand? So the Shaykh he brings this hadith to show that that these mushrikun used to worship this tree. That these mushrikun, they used to worship this tree. Now the takeaway, again, just to reiterate from this particular one, is that no matter what is worshipped, it's all haram. It's all shirk. Does not matter. Another takeaway from this particular hadith that I wanna highlight, as Sheikh Muhammad Sa'id Raslan, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, he mentions, is a takeaway from this. Is that what? He said that in this, it points out the travesty of at-taqleed wa tashabbuh bil-kuffar. It points out the tragedy of blind following and imitating the kuffar. Because the request came because they got one, let us get one. Right? It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. And we have to believe it. The Prophet ﷺ, he told us, مَا تَشَبَّهَ بِقَوْمٍ فَهُوَ مِنْهُمْ. Whoever imitates the people is from them. Now, but a person may come in and say, but why the Muslims need to hear about this? No, the Muslims need to hear about this, especially this time of the year, but all time of the year, but especially this time of the year. You had an individual, Brelvi, Mubtadi', Bal, Mudil, individual in New Jersey. This man, in his foolishness, and when you hear it, you're going to be like, come on, that's dumb. Right? This man said, we got more right to Isa. We got more right to Jesus. So therefore on Christmas, we should outdo the kuffar in giving gifts. What? Right? But he really thought he was saying something. He thought that made a lot of sense. But a person with a little bit of intelligence, he said, that sounds stupid. What do you mean? Because we got more right to Isa, give more gifts. Right? And he was encouraging. Give the kuffar, and you work with, give them gifts. Outdo the other kuffar. Show them that we have more right to Isa. Right? But I want you to think about it. See, now that sounds absurd. Because it's absurd. But what about the Muslims that come and they say, oh, we supposed to respect our mothers, so hey, no problem, we're going to do Mother's Day too. Same thing, isn't it? Well, we respect our fathers and we want to do Father's Day too, right? Oh, same thing, isn't it? Okay, what about those Muslims that say, you know what? We're supposed to give thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so I don't see nothing wrong with giving, Thanksgiving, sitting down and getting the turkey and some stuffing and all that. It's okay, right? No, it's the same thing. I mean, subhanAllah. You see? So this imitation of the kuffar is dangerous. People don't understand. It's dangerous because it's dangerous from a number of ways. One way that is dangerous is that what? You're imitating them in that which is kufr. You're imitating them with that which is of no benefit. You're imitating them in a way that is contrary to the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's first. I don't know. I lost the numbers. That's 1, 2, 3, whatever. Yeah. But also, when you imitate the kuffar, you are exhibiting to them your understanding that your way is superior. So we have to imitate you. We're under you. You did something better, so we imitate you. Why? Because the one who is subjugated generally imitates who? The one who he deems as being superior. The oppressed, they imitate who? The oppressor. Now, this is how it works. This is how it works. Think back to colonialism. The kuffar came and oppressed people. Then the kuffar leave. The people who they oppress take over the government and act what? The same way they used to act. Call themselves the same name, run the government the same way, have the same laws and so on and so forth. They act like the oppressor. Why? Because they felt the oppressor was better. You took us over and you left, so okay, you must was better than us, so we're going to do what you did. So, but we're Muslims. So do we think that their way is better than our way? If anybody should be imitating who should it be? They should be imitating us. They should be imitating us, not the opposite. But these are from the dangers that come from imitating the kuffar. These are from the dangers of imitating the kuffar. Ala kulli hal, shirk is shirk is shirk is shirk. If a person worships a prophet, is he better than a person that worships the calf? No. So let's put that another term. So in the sense, when it comes to ibadah, we're not talking about the special things that Allah Ta'ala has given to the Jews and the Christians, that we can eat their meat and marry their women. We ain't talking about that. Right? In terms of worship, is the Christian better than the Hindu? No. They're making shirk. This one prays to Isa, that one prays to this thing with a whole bunch of arms. Same thing. Right? I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know the name of these things, but they got a whole bunch of arms. One got an elephant head, and one, I don't know, whatever. One's a monkey. I mean, Allah understand. They had a bunch of stuff, right? But the one that prays to a rat, is he better, or is he worse than the one that prays to an angel? No, they're both the same. Because why? Shirk is shirk is shirk. So we don't look at what is being worshipped. The fact is that other than Allah is being worshipped, khalas, that's it. So the Prophet ﷺ fought against them all. The Prophet ﷺ just didn't fight against those who worship stones and he left alone the Jews and the Christians. He fought the Jews and the Christians too. Ahl Kitab, he fought them too. That's the reality. Because they're all making shirk. The last principle, وَأَنَّ مُشْرِكًا زَمَانِنَا أَغْلَظُ شِرْكًا مِنَ الْأَوَّلِينَ, is that the polytheists of our time, they commit greater shirk than the people of old. Right? The people of old. And here, the people in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, this is what is being referred to. People in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, people of antiquity. لأن الأولين, because those who, the mushrikun of old, يشركون في الرخاء, they used to make shirk in good times. ويخلصون في الشدة, but when times got rough, they used to call upon Allah alone. والمشركون ومشركو زماننا شركهم دائما, but the polytheists of our time, their shirk is all the time. They always make shirk. في الرخاء والشدة, in good times and in difficult times. They always making shirk. Now reflect. Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, he said this in his time, that the polytheists of his time were worse than the polytheists of old. Now, we see this in our time. We see this in our time. People in a state of panic and so on and so forth, and they're calling upon Jesus. Right? They're in a state of panic, wa'iyadu billah, and they're calling upon the likes of Abdul Qadir Juyaanee, they're calling upon Badawi, they're calling upon subhanallah. Right? These people are of tremendous evil and wrong. The takeaway from here is that the bayan غرض الشرك أهل الزمان المصنف, is that the level of shirk, the extreme level of shirk in the time of the author, فَمَنْ بَعْدَهُمْ مِنَ الْمُتَأَخِّرِينَ وَأَنَّهُمْ أَغْلَظُ شِرْكًا مِنَ الْأَوَّلِينَ, and that those who came later from the people of those who came later made more shirk than those who came before. And what's the proof that the people in the past, that they used to call upon Allah alone when they were in trouble? Allah Ta'ala, He says, فَإِذَا رَكِبُوا فِي الْفُلْكِ, and when they ride inside of the boats, when they embark upon the ocean, they're in the seas and the ocean, right? And they're in the ship inside the ocean. دَعُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ, they call upon Allah alone. I mean, when they're in the ocean, and the waves come and the storm hits, right? And the waters get choppy, they call upon Allah alone. They call upon Allah alone. Allah Ta'ala goes on to say, فَلَمَّا نَجَّاهُمْ, but when we save them to the land, إِذَا هُمْ يُشْرِكُونَ, then they're making shirk. So now they're in good time, they're making shirk. But they were in times of peril, they call upon Allah alone. Now, if one would think back, subhanallah, to show how dangerous this thing has become, if one would think back, to even maybe some of the older Christians, wallahu a'lam wa a'lam, like our grandparents, great-grandparents, so on and so forth, now, when startled, their knee-jerk reaction was what? Was to call upon God. Oh God, no. Right? So now think about how twisted you have to be, for example, for those Sufis, so on and so forth, who, when they get startled, they call upon their saint. Think of how twisted you got to be. That your involuntary action is to call upon a saint. That's horrible, isn't it? But this is the reality of the people of shirk. And you find that people of shirk, in the time of the author, they were greater in their shirk than the people of old. And likewise, now in our time, same thing. There are many Christians, now to this day, if you startle them, they call upon Jesus. They call upon Jesus, begging Jesus to stop this thing, don't let this happen, save me from this. And Jesus is impoverished, you can't save him. He don't know what you're saying, he can't hear you. Huh? And when it's made known to him what he used to do, he's going to free himself from that. Ain't got nothing to do with that. Right? These are just some realities as it relates to the shirk. These things are important. A person that say, well, why do you spend all this time, and why the ulama spend all this time writing these books about shirk and so on and so forth? It's very simple. It's very simple. The person who understands these principles, these 4 principles, they'll be able to distinguish between the situation of the monotheist and the situation of the polytheist. They'll be able to distinguish what is true Tawheed and the people of Tawheed, and what is shirk and the people of shirk. They'll be able to know the difference. Now, the best way to understand a thing is by knowing its opposite. So, in order to enhance your knowledge of the Tawheed, you have to know what is shirk. You have to know what is shirk. One of the reasons and benefits in knowing what shirk is so you know what to stay away from. That makes sense? You know what to stay away from. I'll give you an example. And without knowing to stay away from, then you won't know what to avoid. If you were sent to the store, right? And I was trying to think of another Juyaanee similar to, but I can't, so we're going to remix another one, an old one. We're going to remix it. No. If you were sent to the store and you were told to buy oranges, do not buy tangerines. Get oranges, do not get tangerines. If you don't know what a tangerine is, and they're next to one another, what's going to happen? You're going to grab oranges and tangerine. You're going to get them both. Because you're going to go there and say, they both orange. This one look a little one. Maybe this is a baby orange. I don't know. Throw it in there too. Right? That's what you're going to say. Throw it in there. I don't know. So if you don't know, you're going to fall into it. So in order to avoid shirk, you got to know what it is. In order to avoid the concepts of polytheism, you have to understand what are the concepts of polytheism. In order to understand what the polytheists are upon, you have to understand what motivated them to do these things. Because now that you know what motivates to do them things, you know that, okay, then that motivation is wrong and it leads to wrong. So we're not going to follow them in that. And also it helps you to better call them to what is correct by showing them this concept is not correct. And what you're doing is not correct. And if you truly want to, for Allah to be pleased with you, then you have to be upon Tawheed. Now, then you have to be upon Tawheed. If you truly want to go to the Jannah, you have to be upon Tawheed. If you truly want to draw near to Allah, you have to be upon Tawheed. If you truly want intercession, you have to be upon Tawheed. So on and so forth. This is why these principles are very important. Very important. Now, so again, I urge everyone to go back over these points, these principles, go over this book, read it, understand it, memorize it. For those who have the ability to and the time, memorize it, binillahi ta'ala, understand it, and go over other explanations of it to enhance your understanding of it and your knowledge of what is contained therein, because it is very, very, very important, especially if we want to get to we want to reach that desirable thing that we want to reach is important. And don't underestimate and don't undervalue the usul, the fundamental principles. Because there's a saying that says, Man muni'a min al-wusul, muni'a min al-husul, or wusul. Muni'a min al-wusul. That whoever is prevented from the fundamental principles, then they will be prevented from reaching what they're looking for, what they're desiring. So study the principles of the religion of Islam, go through them. Those who have the workbook, and we have an extra one here if anybody needs, go over the book, go through do the lessons, fill out the questions, write in it, study it, go over it with your families, inshallah ta'ala. وفقكم الله وجزاكم الله خيرا وأسأل الله أن يجعلني وإياكم من إذا أعطي شكر وبطولي صبر وإذا أذنب استغفر فإن هؤلاء ثلاث عنوان السعادة. And I ask Allah Ta'ala to make me and you of those who, when they are given, they are thankful. When they are tested, they are patient. And when they make sins, they ask for forgiveness. وأن يوفقني وإياكم لما يحبه ويرضى. And that He gives me and you the success in doing that which He loves and that which He's pleased with. وأن يجعلنا من الذين يستمعون قولا فيتبعون أحسنه. That He makes us of those who hear a statement and they follow the best of it. This is what I had to present. فنكتفي بهذا القدر وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وجزاكم الله خيرا.